Nestled along the Gulf of Guinea on the western coast of Africa lies Ambazonia, a vibrant land with a proud people and a rich history, engaged in a struggle for recognition and self-determination. The roots of Ambazonia's struggle for independence run deep, reaching back to the colonial era when the territory of Cameroun was divided between British and French administration, sowing the seeds of today's conflict. Southern Cameroons, under British rule, developed distinct cultural, political, and economic systems, setting the stage for future clashes. In the wave of decolonization in the 1960s, Southern Cameroons hoped for self-determination but was thrust into a union with French-speaking Cameroun, leading to systematic suppression of their identity, culture, and language. This act of erasure fueled deep resentment and a sense of injustice, marking the beginning of the struggle for Ambazonia. The union of Southern Cameroons and French-speaking Cameroun quickly became a lesson in power imbalances and broken promises. The distinct legal and educational systems of Southern Cameroons were dismantled and replaced with those favored by the French-speaking majority. The economic exploitation marginalized Southern Cameroons, despite its rich natural resources. Key industries were controlled from Yaoundé, ignoring the needs of Southern Cameroonians. The promise of shared prosperity became a distant dream, replaced by economic exploitation. The seeds of discontent had begun to sprout, revealing the Union as a new form of colonialism. Marginalization intensified as the French language became a tool of exclusion, filling government positions with French speakers. The legal system disregarded Southern Cameroonian traditions, further alienating the people. Economic disparity widened as resources were siphoned off and farmers struggled against subsidized imports. Unemployment soared, particularly among the youth, fueling hopelessness and resentment. The promise of a unified Cameroun had become a bitter joke, a reminder of their second-class status. Despite oppression, the spirit of Southern Cameroonians remained unbroken. Students and lawyers organized protests, demanding the right to learn in their own language and preserve their legal traditions. The government responded with brutal force, silencing dissent with threats and intimidation. This crackdown only fueled resistance, strengthening their resolve. A new generation, raised on broken promises, demanded to be heard. The struggle for Southern Cameroons was about fighting for their very existence. The seeds of resistance had taken root, and the fight for Ambazonia was gaining momentum. The world remained largely oblivious to the plight of Southern Cameroonians. The Cameroonian government continued its campaign of repression with arbitrary arrests, torture, and extrajudicial killings. The internet provided a window to the outside world, and the hashtag #Ambazonia began to trend, drawing attention to the struggle. Human rights organizations condemned the violence, calling for dialogue. The diaspora mobilized, raising funds and awareness. Thousands had been killed and hundreds of thousands displaced. The struggle for Ambazonia was a stark reminder of the human cost of indifference. The world was finally starting to pay attention, but for many, it was already too late. Faced with escalating violence, Ambazonians turned to the international community for a peaceful resolution. Their pleas were often met with indifference or empty promises. The African Union remained largely silent, reflecting a bias towards maintaining territorial integrity. Ambazonian leaders continued diplomatic efforts, highlighting historical injustices and the right to self-determination. A handful of countries expressed concern, and the international media began to shed light on the crisis. Under international pressure, the Cameroonian government agreed to dialogue, but approached negotiations with a predetermined outcome. Ambazonian representatives, scarred by broken promises, demanded meaningful concessions. The government refused to compromise, resorting to delay tactics. The illusion of dialogue crumbled, leaving a dangerous vacuum. As hope for a negotiated settlement faded, despair settled over Ambazonia. The international community's inaction fueled radicalization within the movement. The Cameroonian government demonized the Ambazonian movement, justifying continued inaction. The struggle for Ambazonia was at a crossroads, its future uncertain. The year 2017 marked a turning point in the Ambazonian struggle. Peaceful protests escalated into a full-blown uprising, met with brute force by the Cameroonian government. The internet became a lifeline, sharing images of atrocities and galvanizing the diaspora. The hashtag #Ambazonia transformed into a rallying cry for resistance. The government's attempt to control the narrative backfired, fueling the flames of resistance. Faced with military violence, Ambazonians took up arms to defend themselves. The Ambazonia Defense Forces emerged as a symbol of resistance, engaging in guerrilla warfare. The Cameroonian government responded with a campaign of terror, targeting civilians. The international community's inaction only strengthened Ambazonians' resolve to fight for their freedom. The struggle for Ambazonia came at a heavy price. Thousands of lives were lost, each one a tragic reminder of the human cost of the conflict. Hundreds of thousands were displaced, forced to flee their homes and seek refuge in neighboring Nigeria or in the forests where they faced hunger, disease, and the constant threat of violence. The Cameroonian government, in a deliberate strategy to cripple the movement, targeted schools, hospitals, and other civilian infrastructure. Teachers and doctors, seen as symbols of hope and resilience, were threatened, abducted, or killed. The education system, once the pride of Southern Cameroons, was decimated, robbing a generation of children of their right to learn. Despite the hardships they faced, the spirit of the Ambazonian people remained unbroken. They organized community schools, provided medical care with limited resources, and continued to resist, drawing strength from their shared history, their culture, and their unwavering belief in their right to self-determination. The diaspora, scattered across the globe, played a crucial role in supporting the struggle. They organized protests, raised funds, and lobbied their elected officials, amplifying the voices of their brothers and sisters back home. The struggle for Ambazonia, though rooted in the heart of Africa, had become a global movement, uniting people from all walks of life in a shared fight for justice and freedom. A leader emerges, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba and the quest for unity. In the crucible of this struggle, a leader emerged, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. A charismatic and articulate spokesperson, Dr. Ayaba, a lawyer by training, was a vocal critic of the Cameroonian government's oppression. Being on the ground multiple times, Dr. Ayaba used his platform to raise awareness and call for international action. From the diaspora, he galvanized support, uniting various factions under a common banner. He recognized that unity was essential for success. Dr. Ayaba's leadership was not without its critics. Some questioned his tactics and uncompromising stance, yet even his detractors acknowledged his passion and ability to inspire a generation. Dr. Ayaba's message resonated with the people willing to fight for their freedom. Under his leadership, the struggle for Ambazonia entered a new phase, marked by fierce determination to achieve independence. Symbols of sovereignty, asserting identity in the face of oppression. As the struggle for Ambazonia intensified, so too did the desire to assert their identity and sovereignty. The people of Ambazonia began to create tangible symbols of their independence, reclaiming their narrative one act of defiance at a time. One of the most visible manifestations was the adoption of new vehicle license plates. Gone were the days of bearing the insignia of a state that treated them as second-class citizens. In its place emerged license plates emblazoned with Ambazonia, a powerful symbol of their aspiration for self-rule. The yellow colours that adorned the taxis underwent a transformation as well. The colours imposed by the Cameroonian government were replaced with the blue or white of the Ambazonian flag. These acts of defiance represented a profound shift in the mindset of the Ambazonian people. The sinews of self-reliance, building an independent future. The quest for self-determination extended beyond symbols and into the very fabric of their society. Recognizing that true independence required economic self-sufficiency, the Ambazonian leadership implemented a series of measures aimed at wresting control of their resources and building a sustainable future for their people. One of the most significant steps taken in this direction was the introduction of liberation taxes. These taxes, collected by the Ambazonian Authority on the ground and in the diaspora, were not seen as a burden but as an investment in their collective future, a tangible demonstration of their commitment to building a self-reliant Ambazonia. Foreign companies operating within Ambazonia were also called upon to contribute their fair share to the struggle. Those that refused to recognize the legitimacy of the Ambazonian Authority on the ground or continued to operate under the auspices of the Cameroonian regime faced tariffs and economic sanctions. A clear message that their exploitation would no longer be tolerated. Education, too, became a battleground in the fight for self-determination. Recognizing that the future of their nation rested on the shoulders of their children, the Ambazonian people took it upon themselves to establish community-led schools. These schools, often operating under challenging conditions, provided a safe haven for learning, a place where the history, culture, and language of Ambazonia were celebrated, not suppressed. Seeds of discord navigating internal challenges on the path to freedom. The path to independence, however, was not without its internal challenges. The Ambazonian movement, though united in its ultimate goal of self-determination, grappled with internal divisions, a reflection of the complex realities of their struggle and the diversity of opinions within their ranks. Some within the movement questioned the wisdom of implementing liberation taxes and tariffs, arguing that such measures placed an undue burden on a population already struggling under the weight of conflict and economic hardship. They feared that these policies, while well-intentioned, could alienate segments of the population and undermine the unity so crucial for success. Others, while acknowledging the need for self-reliance, expressed reservations about the confrontational approach adopted towards foreign companies. They argued that alienating potential investors could harm the long-term economic prospects of an independent Ambazonia, making it harder to rebuild their nation once the conflict had ended. These internal debates, while at times heated and divisive, were also a testament to the vibrancy of the Ambazonian movement, a reflection of a people determined to forge their own destiny through dialogue and debate, even as they fought for their very survival. The challenge for the leadership was to navigate these differences, to find common ground, and to maintain the unity that had carried them this far. The unfinished symphony, a nation forged in resilience. The struggle for Ambazonia is a symphony yet unfinished, its melody a tapestry woven from both triumph and tragedy. The path they have walked has been fraught with obstacles, their spirit tested by the fires of oppression, their resolve tempered by the sacrifices they have endured. Yet through it all, their yearning for self-determination has burned bright, an inextinguishable flame that illuminates their unwavering pursuit of freedom. The challenges that lie ahead are undeniable. The scars of conflict run deep, the wounds of division slow to heal. The weight of expectation rests heavy on the shoulders of those who dare to lead, tasked with navigating the complexities of building a nation amidst the ruins of a struggle for recognition. But amidst these challenges, seeds of hope have taken root. A new generation, forged in the crucible of resistance, has risen to meet the moment. They are the doctors and nurses tending to the wounded, the teachers nurturing young minds, the entrepreneurs rebuilding their economy, the artists and musicians giving voice to their dreams. They are the living embodiment of Ambazonia's indomitable spirit, a testament to the power of resilience in the face of adversity. Amplifying Ambazonia's call. The fight for Ambazonia is not theirs alone. It is a struggle that resonates far beyond their homeland, a call to action for people worldwide to stand in solidarity. The world cannot afford to remain silent. The cost of inaction is too high. Every life lost is an indictment on humanity. Indifference is not neutrality, it is complicity. The international community must take concrete steps. The struggle for Ambazonia is a testament to the human spirit and bravery of the people of Amazon. Please share this video, like and subscribe to our channel.